These are 12 places where you should never swim. Some of them can dissolve metal, others will burn your skin, and a few are so toxic that standing nearby could kill you. Let's start with this important warning: never swim near a volcano. Now, you might be thinking, come on, it's just hot water, right? Well, not quite. Take Dominica for example. Deep in its jungle lies a lake that's literally boiling, so hot you could cook an egg in it. But heat isn't even the most dangerous part of volcanic waters. To understand why, we need to travel to Indonesia, home to one of the most surreal and deadly lakes on the planet, Lake Ijen. At first glance, it's breathtaking, a turquoise crater lake glowing under the sun, steam rising gently from its surface. It looks like a tropical paradise. But trust me, don't even think about jumping in. This is the most acidic lake in the world. And when I say acidic, I'm not talking about lemon juice. I mean acid strong enough to melt a soda can before your eyes. The secret lies right below the surface, a massive magma chamber releasing toxic sulfur gases. These react with water to form sulfuric acid, creating a deadly chemical bath that no living creature should touch. Once, a man decided to test his luck. He took a rubber boat out for a casual float. Within minutes, the acid started eating through it. His legs were burned before he could escape. He survived barely, but not everyone was so lucky. In June 2020, two sulfur miners, Ahmad Arifin and his friend, were working near the crater, surrounded by choking yellow fumes. Then tragedy struck. Ahmad's friend slipped and fell straight into the acid lake. No rescue was possible. His body began dissolving before their eyes. Ahmad couldn't bear it. Despite knowing he'd die, he dove into the burning acid to recover his friend's remains, just so his family could give him a proper burial. He somehow survived and became a national hero. His story still haunts everyone who's ever worked there. But not all stories end like Ahmad's. In Yellowstone National Park in the US, a man named Colin Scott fell into one of the park's acid hot springs, water at 95 degrees Celsius and a pH of 2. He didn't survive. His body completely dissolved, leaving nothing behind except a small memorial by the pool. That brings us to the next level of horror, a place that looks like it came straight from another planet, the Danakil Depression in Ethiopia. Locals call it hell on earth. It's one of the hottest places on the planet, with boiling geysers, sulfur clouds, and pools of neon yellow acid. Here, the ground literally sizzles under your feet. Dip your hand in one of its natural jacuzzis, and you'll come out without skin. Even the toughest bacteria known to science can't survive there. It might be the only place on Earth where life simply doesn't exist. Acidic water can melt through flesh and bone, but nature always balances things out, because on the other side of the pH scale lies another killer, the alkaline lakes. And if you thought acid was bad, wait until you see what high pH can do. Let's rewind a second. pH is a scale that measures how acidic or basic something is. Neutral water sits right in the middle at 7. Go below 2 and you're in acid territory. Climb above 12 and you're basically swimming in bleach. At 13, you've got caustic soda, something you'd use to unclog a drain, not take a bath. And yet, these extremes exist naturally on Earth. Meet Lake Natron in Tanzania, a crimson-colored lake so dangerous it looks like a gateway to another world. Its surface shines red under the sun, and the moment anything enters, it's as if time stops. The water is so alkaline it literally turns animals to stone. That's because it's filled with sodium carbonate decahydrate, also known as natron, the same chemical the ancient Egyptians used to mummify their dead. Touch it, and it burns like acid. Fall into it, and you might not make it out alive. But here's the strange part. Life still finds a way. Somehow pink flamingos, red algae, and a single species of fish thrive in these hostile waters. It's like a natural paradox. Death for most, paradise for a few. And if you're thinking, good thing that's in Africa, don't relax just yet, because there's another one, much closer to home. Welcome to the Blue Lagoon of Buxton, England. At first glance, it looks like a postcard. Bright turquoise water, surrounded by cliffs. The perfect hidden swim spot, except it's not a lagoon at all. It's a flooded limestone quarry full of toxic waste. The pH level, the same as bleach. Despite huge warning signs telling people not to swim, tourists keep diving in for photos. The result? Dozens of hospitalizations every summer. chemical burns, eye injuries, skin irritation, and as if that wasn't bad enough, the bottom is littered with rusted car bodies, trash, and animal corpses. Authorities tried everything to stop people, until one day they came up with a genius idea. They poured black dye into the lagoon. It instantly looked dirty and uninviting. Problem solved. But it didn't last long. When the water cleared again, people came back. So in 2020, they went one step further. They surrounded the beach with cow dung. It sounds ridiculous, but it worked. Nobody wanted to picnic there anymore. Now imagine this. You're staring down into a pool of crystal clear water, glowing with a faint blue light. It looks peaceful, quiet. But that glow isn't sunlight, it's radiation. You're looking at the heart of a nuclear reactor. This is what it looks like when a reactor powers on. The eerie blue glow you see is called Cherenkov radiation, created when charged particles move faster than light through water. It's beautiful and deadly. Get too close to that light and you die instantly. So you'd assume swimming here is suicide, but here's the plot twist. It's actually safe. The water inside these pools is around 30 degrees Celsius, not too hot, not too cold, and so pure it could rival distilled water. That's because it serves a purpose. Those 8 meters of water act as a powerful shield, absorbing almost all the radiation coming from the reactor's core. In fact, there are people who do swim in it, sort of. They're called nuclear divers, and their job is to inspect the reactor pool underwater, making sure everything runs perfectly. Normally, they're protected by the depth of the water, but one diver in Switzerland found out how thin that line really is. It was August 31st, 2010, at a nuclear plant near Lucens. A diver spotted a strange metallic object resting at the bottom of the pool and decided to grab it. Bad idea. The noise from the machinery and bubbles was so deafening that he couldn't hear his radiation detector going wild. He picked up the object, completely unaware it was highly radioactive. By the time he resurfaced, alarms were screaming. Thankfully, the water had shielded him enough to prevent lethal exposure, but it was close. Now, if that's not crazy enough for you, what if I told you there are places in nature where you can actually swim in radioactive water? Welcome to Lake Chagin, Kazakhstan. Back in 1965, the Soviet Union decided to see if atomic bombs could be used for peaceful purposes, so they detonated a massive nuke in the middle of the desert, creating a crater, and then filled it with water. They even stocked it with fish, proudly filming propaganda reels to show how safe it was. But within days, 90% of the fish were dead. The rest mutated into monstrous sizes. Even today, the water remains radioactive, and swimming or fishing there is strictly discouraged. But believe it or not, it's still not the most radioactive lake in history. That title belongs to Lake Karachay, deep in the former Soviet Union. In 1951, nuclear waste from secret facilities was dumped straight into it. Locals kept fishing and drinking from the lake because the government said nothing. Year after year, the waste built up until the lake became one of the most toxic places on Earth. Its waters emitted 120 million curies of radiation, more than double what was released at Chernobyl. Standing near the shore for just 1 hour meant certain death. Then came the disaster. The lake began to dry out, and one windy day, radioactive dust was lifted into the air. It spread across Russia, contaminating 500,000 people. Eventually, in 2015, the government covered the entire area in concrete and soil, even planting grass on top. But no trees. Their roots could dig too deep and wake up the monster buried beneath. Sometimes, the most dangerous water isn't boiling, acidic, or radioactive. It just moves. It's calm 1 second, and in the next, it turns into a monster that swallows everything in sight. Let's start in Hawaii, on the island of Kauai. There's a place called Hanakapiai Beach, famous for its breathtaking beauty and its death toll. The water looks inviting, but the moment you step in, you feel it. A pull, stronger than your own body. Powerful rip currents hide beneath those turquoise waves, capable of dragging even the strongest swimmers miles out to sea. Tourists still go there for photos, ignoring the massive sign at the entrance, a warning carved with the number of people who've died. 82. 82 people who never came back. Videos show tourists standing too close to the edge, only to be swept off their feet by a single rogue wave. They crawl back out, gasping, bruised, lucky to be alive. And that's just the beginning. Not far from that beach, a professional diver, a man trained to survive underwater, got caught by one of those same currents. He was trapped for 5 whole minutes, tossed and pinned beneath the waves before barely escaping with his life. But if you think the Pacific is dangerous, head north, because the most powerful current in the world is waiting in Norway. It's called Saltstraumen, a narrow strait connecting 2 massive bodies of water. When the tide changes, thousands of tons of seawater surge through at over 40 kilometers per hour. The clash creates monstrous whirlpools, swirling maelstroms large enough to swallow entire boats. They form every 6 hours, like clockwork. Locals know to stay away. Even ships avoid it. But of course, YouTubers and daredevils keep testing fate, diving in for the experience. They laugh in their videos. But the comment sections tell another story. Survivors talk about how the current dragged them down hundreds of feet, spinning so violently they couldn't tell which way was up. Scientists once tested it using mannequins. In the Corryvreckan whirlpool off the coast of Scotland, one was pulled to a depth of 262 meters before being spat back out, completely torn apart. And yet, some of the deadliest waters don't even look dangerous. They're calm, silent, still, exactly the kind of place that makes you drop your guard. Take the Strid in England. At first glance, it looks like a gentle little stream, just a few meters wide, the kind of place kids might hop across for fun, but that's a fatal mistake. Beneath the surface lies a hidden system of caves, jagged rocks, and violent suction currents that no diver has ever survived. It's nicknamed the most dangerous stream in the world, and for good reason. Fall in and you're gone. No rescue, no trace. Since the Middle Ages, the Strid has claimed countless lives. Even in recent years, stories continue. A man who jumped in to save his wife after she slipped. Both were found torn apart downstream. It's the perfect reminder. Sometimes the deadliest waters are the ones that look harmless. But not all still waters hide whirlpools. Some hide something even worse, invisible gas that kills everything around it. Now imagine you're camping by a beautiful lake. It's quiet, the air is cool, you fall asleep under the stars, and by morning, everyone around you is dead. No sound, no struggle, just silence. That's not a horror movie. That's what happens when the water itself starts to breathe poison. See, water doesn't just hold fish. It can also trap gas, methane, carbon dioxide, even hydrogen sulfide, all invisible, all deadly. Sometimes they stay trapped for centuries, until something, an earthquake, a landslide, or just pressure, releases them all at once. You've probably seen videos of people lighting ice on fire. Those flames are methane bubbles trapped under frozen lakes. Now imagine that, but thousands of times bigger, and instead of fire, it's suffocation. Take Lake Dusho in California. It's stunning, calm, mirror-like, surrounded by mountains. But deep below, cracks in the earth leak up to 150 tons of CO2 and hydrogen sulfide gas every single day. Those gases are heavier than air. They push out oxygen and slowly smother everything around them. Look around the lake and you'll see the warning signs. Literally, dead trees, no birds. Signs posted everywhere saying do not camp here. Yet people still do. And every few years, someone doesn't wake up. But this is nothing compared to what happened in Africa. In 1986, in a small village in Cameroon, people went to bed as usual. The next morning, 1,700 of them were dead. No explosions, no fire, no warning, just bodies everywhere. The cause was Lake Nyos. Deep under its calm blue surface sat a layer of volcanic gas, carbon dioxide and sulfur, trapped under immense pressure. One night, a landslide shook the lake and released all of it at once. A massive invisible cloud of CO2, heavier than air, rolled down the valley, a silent tsunami of poison. It moved like a wave, 50 meters high, smothering everything in its path. People and animals died instantly, unable to breathe. Survivors described waking up to pure nightmare, seeing neighbors and animals lying motionless, hearing nothing but the hiss of escaping gas. One father remembered hearing his daughter choke in her sleep. He tried to carry her outside, but he collapsed too. It was one of the strangest natural disasters in history, a Limnic eruption, when a lake literally explodes gas instead of water. Since then, scientists have installed degassing pipes in Lake Nyos to release gas slowly. But there's another lake, far bigger, far scarier, that still keeps experts up at night. Welcome to Lake Kivu, sitting quietly between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's beautiful, peaceful even, but beneath that calm surface, it hides over 300 billion cubic meters of carbon dioxide and methane, constantly fed by an active volcano nearby. If the pressure ever broke, it would unleash a disaster unlike anything the world has seen. Enough gas to suffocate over 2 million people. And the scariest part? We can't predict when it'll happen. These eruptions occur naturally, once every few thousand years. We just don't know when the next one is due. So far, we've seen what nature can do. Acid, gas, radiation, whirlpools. But now, it's time to look at what we've done. Because some of the deadliest waters on Earth didn't come from volcanoes or disasters, they came from us. Let's start with one of the most toxic places on the planet, the Citarum River in Indonesia. From a distance, it looks like a normal river winding through villages and factories. But get closer and you realize it's not a river anymore. It's a flowing landfill. Plastic bags, dyes, chemicals, even dead animals all float together in thick rainbow-colored sludge. It's so bad that the Indonesian military was once sent in just to clean it up. Factories along its banks dump industrial waste straight into the water. Textile dyes, lead, arsenic, you name it. The pollution got so extreme that authorities had to install danger signs where the water exits the pipes. No one drinks it, no one swims in it, and the few who still fish there do it out of desperation. And it's not alone. Rivers like the Buriganga in Bangladesh and the Pasig in the Philippines suffer the same fate. Entire ecosystems wiped out by industrial waste. But if there's one river that symbolizes this tragedy, it's the Ganges in India. For millions, it's sacred, a symbol of life and purification. But beneath the prayers and rituals lies one of the dirtiest bodies of water on Earth. City sewage flows straight into it, carrying bacteria, chemicals, and trash. The level of fecal bacteria is 100 times higher than what's legally safe. Bodies of the dead are thrown in for spiritual reasons. At the same time, newborn babies are baptized there, in the same water. And that's the paradox of the Ganges, a river that gives life to millions, yet silently kills thousands every year. In fact, 1/3 of all deaths in India are linked to diseases caused by its waters. But still, this isn't the worst. Because while these rivers are toxic, there are places where pollution turned entire landscapes into liquid graves. Take Jayamana, Romania, a once beautiful village buried under a red, toxic lake. It used to be surrounded by green hills and wooden houses. Then mining companies moved in. They dumped waste mixed with cyanide and heavy metals until the valley filled up. The lake swallowed the entire village. Only the church spire still sticks out of the poisoned water like a tombstone. And then there's the Berkeley Pit in the US. It was once a massive copper mine in Montana. Now it's a giant pool of acid. When mining stopped, groundwater began seeping in, dissolving decades of waste, arsenic, cadmium, and sulfuric acid. The result? A pit so toxic that in 2016, thousands of geese died instantly just by landing on it. Their bodies floated on the orange water like a warning from nature itself. The city tried everything, scarecrows, sirens, even drones, to keep birds away. And in true capitalist fashion, they turned it into a tourist attraction, $3 per ticket, to look at a lake of death. But even that isn't the end of the story, because there's one place where pollution reached a level that sounds almost impossible, a city called Chelyabinsk in Russia. It holds the Guinness World Record for the most carcinogenic city on Earth. For decades, chemical weapon factories released mustard gas, cyanide, and arsenic straight into the soil and rivers. Some pollutants there are 17 million times above safe limits. life expectancy for men just 42 years. And to make things even stranger, dogs there started turning blue. Not a myth, a real consequence of industrial chemicals seeping into the environment. It's a grim picture of what happens when humanity ignores the balance. When water, the source of life, becomes a carrier of death. But there's a glimmer of hope too, because change is happening. Many of these rivers are slowly being cleaned. Governments and activists are fighting to restore what we lost. Even the Seine River in Paris, once a polluted mess, is now slowly reopening for swimming after decades of work. The question is, how long will it take before we can swim safely anywhere again? So, after everything you've just seen, the boiling lakes, the acidic waters, the radioactive pools, the invisible gases, would you still dive in? Because as terrifying as these places are, they all share one thing. They look deceptively peaceful. From a distance, they shimmer under the sun, quiet and beautiful. You'd never guess they could melt skin, choke lungs, or erase a human being in seconds. It's a strange reflection of our world, that danger often hides behind calm surfaces. A volcano disguised as paradise, a lake that looks pure but burns like bleach, a river that gives life to millions while carrying death in every drop. And maybe that's the point. We humans are drawn to what's forbidden. We see warning signs, we see danger, and somehow we still want to touch it. Maybe it's curiosity, maybe it's arrogance, or maybe it's just part of who we are. The truth is, water has always been both our creator and our destroyer. It gives life and takes it just as easily. And the more we pollute, dig, or experiment with it, the more we awaken things that were better left untouched. Even after all this, nature doesn't stop amazing us. It destroys, yes, but it also heals. From Ethiopia's sulfur fields to Indonesia's acid lakes, scientists are finding ways to restore balance, to protect the few places still untouched. And slowly, the world is realizing that these forbidden waters aren't just nightmares, they're warnings. Warnings that remind us how fragile life really is. Because somewhere between the molten lakes of Aegean and the radioactive silence of Karachay, between the whirlpools of Norway and the suffocating fog of Neos, lies one truth. Earth doesn't need us. We need her. So next time you see a sign that says, "Do not swim," maybe it's not just about safety, maybe it's about respect. And now, let's end with one last question. If I offered you $10,000, would you dare to swim in one of these deadly waters? The acid lake or the nuclear one? Let me know in the comments. And if you survived this video, metaphorically speaking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the next story might be even darker. See you in the next one.